You have been in the room when the energy changed. You did not imagine it. The conversation was fine. It was even warm. And then something shifted, almost imperceptibly, like the pressure dropping before a storm. And suddenly, you were tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. You drove home feeling scraped out. You prayed that night, and the words felt like they were going into a ceiling. And you wondered privately if you brought that back with you. You have never said this out loud, not in church, not in your small group, not to your spouse, because the moment you say it, you sound like someone who sees demons behind every difficult person, and you are not that person. You are not superstitious. You read your Bible. You believe in grace and in the complexity of human behavior and in not giving the enemy more credit than he deserves. And yet, you have learned something you cannot unlearn. Sometimes what you're feeling in a room is not yours. Sometimes the heaviness has a source, and that source is not always human. This is not a gift you asked for. You never raised your hand in a prayer meeting and said, "Lord, let me be the one who feels it when something dark has access to someone I love." It came as an awareness, a sensitivity, the same way some people know when a room has been cried in, or when a marriage is failing even though everyone is smiling. You notice things. You have always noticed things. What changed is that you stopped explaining the things away. Your sister calls you every other week, and she's brilliant and funny, and she loves you genuinely. She is also in something you cannot name precisely. You hear it in the way she deflects every conversation about God, not dismissively, but with a kind of practiced exhaustion, like someone who tried that door once and found it locked. You hear it in the way she talks about herself, the low-grade contempt that lives just underneath her confidence, the way she laughs at herself a half second too quickly before you can. You're not diagnosing her, you're noticing a pattern that has a shape you recognize. Something has access to the part of her that was supposed to know she was beloved. You know better than to say it directly. You learned that in year 2 of paying attention. You said something once, carefully, to a friend you trusted, about what you were sensing, and she looked at you like you had just accused her of something. You spent 3 months repairing that friendship. The lesson was not that you were wrong. The lesson was that people cannot receive what they cannot contextualize. You cannot hand someone a diagnosis before they have accepted that they are sick. So now you carry it differently. You carry it in prayer first. You carry it before the throne before you ever bring it into the room. But carrying it has a cost you were not warned about. No one told you what it is like to sit across from your father at Christmas dinner and feel what you feel. Your father is not a cruel man. He never was. He worked hard. He provided. He showed up. What he also did, for 30 years without knowing it, was give ground. Small surrenders, one at a time, each one too small to feel like a decision. A bitterness he never repented of. A habit he never broke. A door he opened once in grief and forgot to close. And now there's something in the room with him that has made itself at home. You feel it before he speaks. You feel it in the particular quality of his silences. And you sit there cutting your turkey, and you pray without moving your lips. And you smile at your mother across the table. And you hold it all inside you because this is the only way to hold it. This is what no one in the church bookstore prepared you for. The books about spiritual warfare are mostly about you. Your own deliverance, your own breakthrough, your own victory. The chapter on discernment is 4 pages long, and it ends with a prayer. What they do not tell you is what to do with a gift that makes holidays complicated. What to do when your best friend of 15 years begins to drift in a direction you recognize, and she does not. What to do when you can see the shape of what has access to someone you would give anything to protect. And the only legitimate thing you can do is pray. Prayer is not nothing. You have to say this to yourself some days because some days it feels like nothing. You have prayed for your father for 11 years. You have fasted. You have stood in the gap in ways he will never know about and would be embarrassed by if he did. And he is still at the table being the same man he has always been, with the same silences and the same closed place behind his eyes. And you have to make peace, again, with the fact that intercession is not control. That you were given the awareness, not so you could fix it, but so that someone would be standing in the gap, informed and persistent, and not just in a general way, but in a specific way. The way a surgeon is more useful than a well-wisher, because the surgeon knows where the thing is. God did not give you this sensitivity so that you would be miserable at Christmas dinner. He gave it to you because someone had to see it, not to fix it, not to announce it, not to corner your father after the pie and lay hands on him against his will, to see it, to name it in the spirit, to agree with heaven about what is true, even when what is visible says otherwise. You are not the physician. You are the one who can read the chart when everyone else thinks the patient is fine. There are days when you wish you couldn't. You would like to sit in a room and feel nothing but what is in the room. You would like to hug your sister goodbye, not drive home with the weight of what you sensed in that hug still sitting on your chest. You would like one family gathering where you are just there, present, eating, laughing, instead of also working, also praying, also paying attention to things no one else is paying attention to. The sensitivity is a mercy to others, and it costs you something. Both of those things are true, and neither cancels the other out. What you are learning, slowly, across years, is the discipline of not carrying what you were only meant to see. There is a difference between intercession and absorption. One of them is work the Spirit does through you. The other is a boundary failure, and it will hollow you out if you let it. You were not designed to take on what you were only designed to report. The awareness is the assignment. The awareness is not the burden. When something crosses that line, when you leave a room feeling like you wrestled something instead of prayed about something, that is information. That is God telling you that you held something you were supposed to hand off. This is the part they never teach in the 4-page chapter. The discipline of the gift. Not just how to discern, but what to do with what you discern. Not just how to see, but how to see without becoming the thing that holds it. The soldier who calls in the coordinates does not then go carry the target on his back through the jungle. He calls it in. He trusts the response. He keeps moving. Your brother-in-law sat across from you at dinner last month and talked for 2 hours about his new business venture, and you felt what you felt, and you smiled, and you asked the right questions, and you were genuinely glad to be with him. And on the way home, you prayed specifically, not for a long time, not dramatically. You named what you saw. You asked for the thing that had access to his thinking to be cut off at the root. You asked for the fear underneath his ambition to be touched by something he didn't have language for yet. You released it. You went to bed. You slept. That is the whole thing. That is what years of carrying this taught you. You see it. You name it in the Spirit. You release it to the one who can actually move. You do not become it. You do not perform it. You do not warn everyone in the room. You do not skip the dinner. You go. You stay present. You pay attention with your spiritual eyes open and your mouth in the shape of a normal conversation. And underneath it, quiet and specific and consistent, you stand in the gap for the people you love. This is the life of someone who can feel what others cannot feel. It is not dramatic. It does not look like anything from the outside. You will not receive credit for the prayers you prayed that turned something before it arrived. You will not be in the room when the breakthrough happens. You will hear about it later, maybe, secondhand, and you will know what you contributed, and you will not say it. That is the shape of the gift. It was never meant to make you visible. It was meant to make them free. You already know what to do with what you felt the last time you walked into that room and the air was different. You felt it. You named it. You're already praying. Keep going. You have sat in church beside people who make you tired in a specific way. Not bored, not irritated, tired. A tiredness that has a texture to it, something that lands on you during the offering and doesn't lift until you're in the parking lot. You used to think it was you. Low blood sugar? The wrong seat. The humidity. Then you started paying attention to which people, and the pattern was too consistent to be coincidence. Certain people carry something with them that costs you something to be near, and you have had to learn, gently, without making it anyone's fault, that this is data, not judgment. Data. The same way a doctor notes a temperature without blaming the patient for having a fever. What you carry now is not a suspicion about people. It is a watchfulness for the thing behind the behavior. Your coworker who cannot receive a compliment without immediately deflecting it, the joke always arriving half a second too fast, the praise sliding off her like water off glass. You know that deflection by now. It has a signature. Something has told her, for long enough that she believes it completely, that she does not deserve to be seen as good. She did not decide this. She was taught it by something that found a wound and made its home there. And she is one of the kindest people you know. Both things are true. The kindness and the thing that is in the room with her are both real. You pray for her on Tuesdays. You do not tell her this. You have learned the hard way that telling people you are praying for them in this specific way, not the casual, I'll keep you in my prayers prayer, but the specific, targeted, I have discerned something and I am standing in the gap prayer lands wrong almost every time. It lands as accusation. It lands as diagnosis without consent. The prayer is not for her to know about. The prayer is for the thing that has access to her to know about. There is a difference. This is the loneliness of it that nobody talks about. You are doing real work, and it is invisible by design. You are in rooms being changed by your presence in them, and the people in those rooms will never know why that meeting went better than expected, or why the conversation shifted, or why they felt driving home like something had been slightly lifted from them. You will know, and you will not say so. And that will be enough, because it has to be, and because on the days when it is genuinely enough, you can feel that it is the right shape of the thing, that this is what it looks like when a gift is being used the way it was intended, quietly, specifically, at a cost, for someone who doesn't know to say thank you. Keep your eyes open, keep your spirit soft, keep handing it off. The hardest version of this is not the stranger. It is never the stranger. The stranger you can keep at a manageable distance. You can limit your exposure. You can process it in the car on the way home and release it before you walk through your own front door. The hardest version is the person who sleeps under your roof, the person whose face you have memorized, the person you chose or who was given to you, and who you would not trade, even on the days when loving them costs you the most. Because when you feel it in them, there is nowhere to go. There is no parking lot. There's no drive home where you process and release. You are already home. And the thing that has settled into the corner of their anger or their anxiety or their compulsive need to control every outcome in the house, that thing is present at breakfast. It is present in the silence after an argument. It is present in the way they reach for their phone instead of reaching for you. And you are not angry at them. You are not even angry at the thing. You are just a person who can see what is happening and loves the person it is happening to, and cannot fix any of it by force of will or force of prayer or force of anything. What you can do is not agree with it. When the accusation comes through their voice, and the one dressed up as their frustration but aimed at the most specific part of your worth, you can feel the difference between their frustration and the message that is riding on it. You can choose in that moment not to receive the message. You can absorb the frustration and let the accusation pass through without landing. That is a kind of spiritual judo that takes years to develop. It looks like patience from the outside. It is something more precise than patience. It is discernment applied in real time, in the middle of your actual life with the stakes at their highest. You are not perfect at it. There are nights where the message lands before you catch it, where you're already responding to the accusation rather than the frustration before you realize what happened. And then you have to do the slower work. Recognize what got in, refuse to agree with it, return to what is actually true about you. This is not weakness. This is what it costs to live with your eyes open inside a relationship where something else is present. The people who cannot see it do not have to do this work. That is not their fault. It is also not their gift. You are not here to be a perfect sensor and a perfect intercessor and a perfect spouse or parent or friend all at the same time. You are here to do what you can see to do and to be honest about your limits, and to return to prayer when your own strength has reached its edge, which it will, regularly, because this is not a calling that ends. It is a way of moving through a world that has more going on in it than most people are willing to see. And on the days when you can feel that clearly, when you are sitting in a room and you are aware and you are praying and you are present and the weight of it is manageable and even in some strange way good, on those days you understand exactly why you were given this, because someone had to, and you were the one who said yes, not once. Every morning again, you say yes, and that is the whole of it.